Hello and welcome to How to Invest. In today's video, we are going to be talking about UiPath's fiscal year 2026 earnings. I wanted to start by talking about guidance because I know a lot of people, including myself, was a little disappointed that the guidance was not a bit higher. So we'll start by talking about that. Then we will talk about a couple of the fundamental indicators that were from the earnings call, and why that still, in combination with what I'm going to talk about in guidance, still makes me really excited about UiPath's story. And I still think that this thesis is still very, very strong. A little bit about me. I am a stock analyst for a holding company with over 10 million of assets under management, as well as my own personal $150,000 portfolio. Just so you guys know, we are not certified financial advisors. This video is not financial advice. All investments carry risk. You are solely responsible for your investments. We encourage everyone to do their own due diligence and research. We have a high risk tolerance and a long investment horizon. This video reflects our opinions only at the time of recording and are for educational and entertainment purposes only. So, this year, we saw 12.7% year over year revenue growth, which is really strong, and a reacceleration from last year's 9.3% year over year revenue growth. What is important to note when we're thinking about this most recent year over year revenue growth guidance of 9%, to think about what the revenue growth guidance was originally for the year we just had. So that's where I want to start. This is actually the full year 2025 shareholder presentation. And you can see here their fiscal year 2026 guidance, which is the year that just ended and they just reported on. Their original guidance was 1.525 billion to 1.53 billion. So if we do the math really quickly, so if we take the revenue guidance, we'll take the top end of the revenue guidance range, 1.53 billion, and we divide this by the fiscal year 2025 revenue, which if we come over here, we can see in fiscal year 2025, they had $1.43 billion in revenue. So 1.43. They were only guiding for 7% year over year revenue growth for the year we just finished. What does that tell you? Management sandbags growth guidance. And that's totally fair for them. And in fact, can make a decent position what we're having now where, the stock price doesn't go parabolic. They just announced $500 million new share buyback, and they can buy a bunch of shares back at a better price. And now every single quarter, they can beat and raise guidance throughout the year. I think that is incredibly likely when we continue to listen to the fundamentals and what Daniel Dines is saying about the demand for this product. So the original guidance for this year was 7%, and they put up 13% year over year revenue growth. That's almost double. So this year, they're guiding for 9% year over year revenue growth. If we saw the same kind of dynamic, we could maybe see 16% year over year revenue growth. But what I'm going to do is show you the kind of base case where they just do the same amount of revenue growth again that they did in this previous year, 13%. And then we continue to see a slow acceleration to a peak of 22%. And again, I'll explain why we assume this kind of acceleration is coming due to a couple of factors and the kind of fundamentals of what Daniel Dines is saying customers are saying. We did a review video recently of customer testimonials of like what this product is doing. And a lot of those customer testimonials are just about the savings from their current or their original kind of core product, RPA. And a couple of them I don't think really even includes Maestro and Agentic AI. So anyways, base case, 13% revenue growth in this year, 2026, fiscal year 27 for UiPath, accelerating to 22%, getting to a net margin of 34% with a PE ratio of 41. So this is actually a decrease in our kind of modeling. It's still an 8.8x from here. And I think that is not unreasonable to think that they could do 13% year over year revenue growth. And I don't think based off of what we just looked at for their previous revenue guidance for the fiscal year 26, that we should believe that they're going to actually do the exact revenue that they guide for. I think it's reasonable to believe that it's very likely and possible that they far exceed their guidance. But yeah, I still think the return profile on UiPath is still incredibly excellent and super, super asymmetric. Because I want to look at the bear case really quick. In the bear case, let's say they only grow 10% on average from now to 2030, which I think, again, after we look at the fundamentals and what companies are saying, that I think that's pretty unlikely. But and even 10% is very low compared to the historical, right? So they've only ever had 1 year that was less than 10% year over year revenue growth. And with a 107% net dollar retention rate, that would mean almost no growth from outside of their current customer base. So looking at historical trends and kind of other metrics like net dollar retention, let me pull that up really quick, has been stabilizing at 108%. And for the first time in, kind of their public history, I believe, their incremental trailing 12-month incremental ARR has started re-accelerating. So you could see from here, it's been the amount of incremental ARR each quarter has been decreasing. And now for the first time, or I guess last quarter was the first time, but now continuing that trend since last quarter, incremental ARR has started to accelerate, restart increasing at the same time that their net dollar retention was falling off a cliff and then boom, hit a bottom and is now stabilizing around 108, 107% net dollar retention. So let's say in worst case scenario, those are very bullish fundamentals, and we'll look at a couple more quotes from Daniel Dines about the bullish fundamentals. But even in a worst case scenario where all of these bullish kind of fundamentals only means 10% revenue growth for the next 5 years, they're able to get to a 30% net margin, and with a PE of 27. In the bear case, it is still a 3.2x, which represents almost or around a 30% compounding rate on the stock price to get to fair value in 5 years, if those are the fundamentals that play out in the bear case. And I think something like the base case is much, much more likely. And the last thing I'm going to go over is these quotes. I actually we already looked at the incremental ARR reaccelerating and the net dollar, dollar-based net retention stabilizing. The other thing I want to look at is the ARR of customers over 100,000 increased. I believe this is 12%, represents a 12% year-over-year change. We can know for sure by going to this. Oh, we got to pull one more year out. So, and this isn't even the most recent. Let me find the actual, here we go, numbers for these two. So I found it in the latest fiscal year 26 presentation. These are the numbers we were just looking at here, right? This is for 2025, fiscal year 2025. 317, so that's what this is comparing, right? 317 customers of 101 million ARR or more increased to 357, which represents about a 13% year-over-year growth. And then for 100,000 or more, increased from 2,292 to 2,565, which represents about a 12% year-over-year growth in the number of customers with 100,000 or more of ARR. And based on what Daniel Dines is saying, is most of these large customers are implementing AI products into their subscriptions, into their consumption base, into their annual recurring revenue, and they're paying usually once AI is included, they spend 3 times as much on UiPath products than when they're just using RPA. So I do think that these new products are going to drive meaningful increases in ARR and then eventually revenue, start hopefully seeing a tick back up in net dollar retention. That's not necessarily 100% required, as these they don't really have time to implement AI into these smaller customers, but that might change with one more thing, the last kind of really bullish thing that was talked about in this latest earnings call. But yeah, we're seeing large ARR customers continuing to grow at a solid rate. incremental ARR starting to tick back up again. And then lastly, I want to go over these quotes from Daniel Dines. So currently, a really bullish fundamental indicator is they actually are starting to get an automation backlog. So there's more companies. I'll just read the quote. Their automation backlog is him referring to large enterprises are growing faster than their ability to build. The ROI exists. The executive sponsorship exists. The constraints have been the time, cost, and specialized skills to require to build and maintain production grade automation. So what does this matter? Demand is not constrained by ROI or willingness. It is purely a supply side bottlenecks. They can't build the automations quick enough. This is effectively, a structural, this is not like cyclical demand. They have a massive backlog. The next point is AI is solving that backlog constraint. Again, Daniel Dines saying AI coding agents will generate and maintain production grade unattended UiPath automations in hours instead of weeks. So first off, he's saying, look, we have this huge backlog from these enterprises that just want to build tons and tons of automations. There's just not enough engineers to actually build these automations. But look at what we are doing. We're going to be using AI coding agents to help speed up the process of building and then maintaining these automations. So this is a release valve for that backlog and will mean a step function increase in automation throughput, which means that backlog can be converted into ARR faster. And then he's saying, okay, you could be thinking, okay, well then they'll just, burn through the backlog. But then Daniel Dines is saying, when building becomes cheaper, more gets built, more processes get automated, more edge cases get addressed, and more systems become autonomous. This is actually a counterintuitive dynamic that often happens in markets. Say, for example, when coal gets cheaper, all of a sudden you have a ton of more demand and use cases for coal because now it's actually economically viable to use coal in more use cases. Now, I'm not trying to say coal is a great thing. I'm just using it as an example of, what this kind of dynamic Daniel Dines is pointing out is happening. As it becomes cheaper through these AI coding agents to build and maintain, you can actually unlock the amount of workflows that are reasonable and economically feasible and creates another massive, a huge new backlog of processes and workflows that need to be automated. So yeah, AI is driving new automation demand because there's a few more quotes from him. But I think the most important ones I already kind of talked about. So demand is already there. The backlog is confirmed based on what Daniel Dines is saying. Constraint is purely supply side, and AI is both removing those constraints by allowing them to ship faster, build more automations, and maintain more automations. And the fact that it then becomes cheaper to make and maintain those automations, it actually increases the demand for these kind of AI, these engineers to deploy more and more automations is what I'm trying to say. And those combinations drive faster ARR growth than expected and deeper enterprise penetration. So this is what's actually happening. I helped use ChatGPT to kind of help pull those quotes through, but it made a bunch more points that weren't really necessary. That's kind of why I skipped over them. But the point is there's a huge demand backlog. They're working on using AI to help them work through that backlog, which will also make it cheaper to do automations, and that's just going to create way more demand. Basically, what I'm saying is there is fundamentally a huge backlog and a huge demand that Daniel Dines is working on unlocking, and we're already seeing that drive meaningful impact to ARR with this ARR reacceleration, incremental ARR reacceleration, and the fact that they just smashed their guidance for this year of 7%, actually growing 13%, and I think is very reasonable that they will do it again. So again, I think the story for UiPath remains incredibly bullish. I do think that maybe I want to leave with this one last note, which is to be patient. Like, these enterprises are very, very slow moving. Some are going to be faster adopting than others, but I have been talking to a friend who is working at a, medium-sized enterprise, couple hundred employees, and he is in charge of implementing AI in this company. And he says the number one issue that he is coming to is change management. There's so much fear in these organizations. Everyone's scared of losing their job to these AI, automations and that agents and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of resistance inside these enterprises. It is inevitable this is going to happen. And I think what people are going to start to realize eventually is that it actually allows them to do more meaningful work, more exciting work than a lot of these super repetitive, boring kind of things that UiPath is perfect at automating. And maybe the last thing I do want to talk about too is like the threat of AGI, right? So you don't need to necessarily automate a workflow if you have artificial general intelligence. But the thing I want to say about that is, one, most experts, not these like labs that are trying to raise billions of dollars and have incentives to say that it's coming in the next few years. These researchers that really don't have any incentive to say it's coming now or later, most of them think that, AGI is not coming for the next 10 to 20 years. And even when it does come, it's going to be very energy intensive. There's going to be very, very specific like use cases when you actually want to use a smaller, more like specialized model. And I think UiPath will still be really good at orchestrating those smaller models. You're not going to want to basically throw a super expensive AGI at everything. You'd rather be much more efficient, use a more specialized, orchestrated or even robotic process automation to do deterministic tasks, which is the same reason why they say, agentic isn't replacing their RPA business, it's complementing it because they're good at different things. These different tools are good at specializing at completing different types of tasks in a workflow, and then the Maestro allows you to orchestrate it all the way through. Even an AGI could basically be a human in the loop, or the equivalent of what a human in the loop during an orchestration is now. So I don't think AGI is like a end-all be-all to the thesis either. It could definitely be maybe a headwind at some point in the future, but based on what actual research are saying, not these business leaders that are wanting to say the most bullish thing ever to raise the billions of dollars that they're needing to raise, I still think that's quite a ways away. In the meantime, I think that based on what Daniel Dines is saying, the demand is there. They're working at building faster. AI is a tailwind for them. It is causing cross-selling, and you're already starting to see it in things like incremental ARR, net dollar retention stabilizing, and the fact that they just smashed the guidance that they actually had for this year. And I think they're going to smash guidance again. So coming back to what I opened this video with, I know everyone was disappointed the guidance is not higher, but you got to look at what they've been, like how they guided in the past. And when you look at how they guided in the past and what's actually, happening inside the company, what Daniel Dines is saying is happening, I think it's very reasonable to believe that they're going to smash guidance this year as well. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to do your own research, your own due diligence. We're fallible humans, so we might not be seeing something. If you think something is super glaringly, obviously like a huge threat to the bull thesis, make sure to comment that threat down below. If you have any more questions or any other companies you want to research, make sure to comment down below. But I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you want more videos like this in the future, make sure to subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.